Hello, are you ready to learn for today?
For today, may intindihan na natin kung ano yung ibig sabihin pag sinabi nating similar triangles. How would you describe similar triangles? So, para sa akin at para mas madali na rin natin siya maintindihan, these are triangles that exactly look the same. Magkamukha sila. But not all the time na yung size nila ay parehas. Pwedeng yung isa mas maliit or mas malaki kumpara dun sa isa. At pwede rin naman sa ibang pagkakataon na itong dalawang triangles na to ay parehas din ng sukat or what we call congruent. So, congruent triangles are also considered as similar triangles. Pero sa mga examples nga na makikita nyo ngayong araw, madalas ay makakita kayo dito ng mga triangles na magkakaiba yung sukat pero magkamuka. Kaya nga similar yung tawag sa kanila. So another similar figures that we can relate on our real life is our picture. For example, ID picture. Kunyari, ito yung ID picture mo one by one. Tapos sabi mo dun sa nag-edit, gusto ko palakihan yan kasi parang maganda kuha niyan sa akin. So, ay maganda yung itsura ko diyan. So gusto mo palakihan. So hindi naman pwede gawin pag pinalaki mo tong pitch one by one picture mo. Kunyari ikaw yan Ayan. Tapos sabi mo, sige lakihan natin. Tas nung nilakihan, matutuwa ka ba kung yung one by one mo ganyan yung itsura? O di kung sinunod lang, o ayan itsura mo. Di lalo kang lumaki. Siyempre lumapad yung mukha mo. Hindi naman yun talaga yung itsura mo, 'di ba? Lalong pumangit or pumangit yung picture mo imbes na maayos siya. So, ang ginagawa diyan usually siyempre 'pag hinabaan mo yung width, tataasan mo rin yung height so that it will be proportional or proportion yung makukuha mo. In other words, ganun pa rin yung itsura na makukuha mo sa ID picture na pinalakihan mo. So that's the idea of having similar. Ayan, that's the idea actually of having proportion. Yan, if you enlarge something, you also have to enlarge the width and the height para proportion yung paglaki niya at maging ganun pa rin yung itsura niya. That is why in similar triangles, the sides are proportional. That's one reason why they look the same. Another reason is because the angles are or the corresponding angles are congruent or equal. Ayan. So what do we mean by those ideas having congruent angles and proportional sides? So let's deal with this given example para mas maintindihan natin sila. So for example, we have here triangle TRY is said to be similar with triangle MOH. By the way, bago ko makalimutan, yung symbol na to is a symbol for the word is similar to. Yan, binanggit din siya dito sa video. Yan, yung word na is similar or it represents the idea of having similar figures. Yan. Anyway, so once again, for this given example, we have triangle TRY is said to be similar with triangle MOH. So ito yung application ng mga properties niya. Since similar sila, pwede nating sabihin na yung angles na tong dalawang triangle na to or yung corresponding angles nila are congruent. Therefore, if angle T measures 60 degrees, ganun din yung sukat ng corresponding angle niya doon kay triangle MOH na si angle M, 60 degrees din. Ganun din kapag kasi angle R ay 70 degrees, yung corresponding angle niya sa kabila is angle O which is also 70 degrees. The same thing with angle Y, 50 degrees, 50 degrees din si angle H. That is what we mean by corresponding angles are equal or congruent. And how about having proportional sides? Ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Ibig sabihin yan, equal daw yung ratio nila. So ano ba ibig sabihin pag equal yung ratio? Pag kumuha ka ng ratio between the corresponding sides of the triangle such as, unahin na natin to, TY over MH, ito siya. So that's gonna be 20 over X. And we get another pair of corresponding sides such as RY over OH. Kuhain natin yung ratio na to. That's gonna be 12 over 6. And then, isa pa is gonna be TR, ito yon over MO. And the ratio of them will be 10 over 5. Now, Sir Valera, asan dyan yung equal yung ratio? 12 over 6 to 10 over 5 yan. If we go back to our lesson last meeting, we have the idea of getting the lowest term of this following fraction. Equal yan. So, wag muna natin pansinin si 20 over x. Di natin makuha ng lowest term yan. Kopyahin muna natin. Pero if we deal with 12 over 6 and 10 over 5, both of them has the lowest term of 2 over 1. which is having the same or equal ratio. Yan ang ibig sabihin natin ng proportional. At yan yung tinatawag nating similarity ratio, yung ratio na equal sa kanila. Now, we can use that similarity ratio to solve for the value of x. So, anong ginagawa natin dyan? We tend to cross-multiply. 20 times 1 is gonna be 20, and then x times 2 is gonna be 2x. So, we'll use that idea to solve for the value of x. So, we have 20 is equal to 2x. Therefore, if you want to solve for the value of x, you can divide both sides by 2, giving us the value of x is equal to 10. At kung 10 yan, ang lowest term ng 20 over 10 is gonna be 2 over 1 as well. So, yan ang ibig sabihin natin when it comes to the idea of having proportional sides. Ayan. So, as we may proceed, let's have, once again, similar triangles is described as the triangles that are, or with corresponding angles that are congruent and corresponding sides that are proportional. So, another idea that we could apply when it comes to similar triangles are the corresponding vertices, which also applies or pwede rin natin magamit when it comes to the angles that are congruent and the sides that are proportional. So even if you don't have the given triangles or kahit hindi yan nakalagay or nakadrawing dyan, pwede mong i-identify yung mga corresponding angles sa congruent tsaka yung sides na proportional. But let's identify first the corresponding vertices based on the two triangles that are said to be similar. So we have here triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. Ito yung dalawang triangles na yan. So vertex A corresponds to vertex D, B corresponds to E, and C corresponds to F. So even if you are just given with the names of the two triangles being similar, we can already identify the congruent angles or the corresponding congruent angles from them. Yang angle A at angle D, yan yung congruent. Kasi kahit sa vertices, makikita nyo sila. And even if we interpret it in the given drawing, angle A is congruent to angle D. So, parehas lang. Next, angle B is congruent to angle E. Ayan. And angle C is congruent to angle F. Now, as you can see, yan, it is present or pwede mo makita yung same pattern na yon kahit dun sa pangalan ng dalawang triangles natin. At the same time, present siya dun sa corresponding congruent angles. And hindi lang dyan, applicable din yung pattern na yan when it comes to the corresponding proportional sides. So for example, ito yung ratio ng AB over DE. Ito yon, AB over DE is equal to the ratio of BC over EF. Ito yon sa pangalan nila, BC over EF. And equal to the last pair of corresponding sides, which is AC, this one, AC over DF, AC over DF. So let's have this following examples. Identify the corresponding proportional sides and congruent angles for each pair of similar triangles. Number one, triangle LOW is said to be similar to triangle KEY. Enumerate the different congruent angles present. So, ano dyan yung mga angles na congruent?
Ang- angle W is congruent to angle Y.
Ano pa?
And angle L is congruent to angle K.
Okay.
And angle O is congruent to angle E.
So, those are the following angles that are, or the following corresponding angles that are congruent. 'Di ba? Kapag ka ang itsura ng dalawang triangle mo is parehas ng area or orientation, ayan no, walang nakabaligtad, madaling identify yung mga corresponding angles natin. And since they are similar, they are also congruent. Aside from that, enumerate the following proportional sides. Yan, WO over YE. Yan. So, yan yung ratio na gusto mong sundin sa una. So, this WO came from the first triangle. And this YE came from the second triangle. So, kapag ka gumawa ka ng mga susunod na ratio, dapat dun mo lang din sila uumpisahan sa unang triangle. So, imbes na ang una natin banggitin is YK, pwede mong unahin si WL para masusunod pa rin yung same pattern when it comes to the ratio. So we have WL over KY or YK. So here are the following proportional sides. Although pwede magkabali-baligtad to kasi depende naman yan sa kung ano yung unang sides na iyong babanggitin. But take note of that given ratio. Yan. So kung ang pattern ng ratio mo is from this, sabihin na natin tong smaller triangle over bigger triangle, dapat sa lahat ng sides na babanggitin mo, it follows the same pattern. So, smaller triangle over bigger triangle. Hindi pwedeng baligtad kasi magugulo yung ratio or yung mga proportional sides natin. Okay, let's proceed to the second example. Let's have number 2. We have here triangle FRI. I think this is mentioning this given bigger triangle. Triangle FRI is said to be similar to triangle FED. So in this case, bigyan ko na kayo na example for the congruent angles para maiwasan natin ang pagkalito. Ayan, so we have here, yan, angle FRI, ito yung angle na to, is congruent with angle FED. Now, bakit ko ginawang tatlong letters yung pag-name dun sa angle? Kasi unlike the first example, dito sa triangle na to, meron tayong presence ng segment ED, which divides this E into two angles. So, pag sinabi mong angle E lang yan, baka nakakalito kasi meron pang angle E na pwede mo i-consider sa baba. 'Di ba ganyan yung ginagawa natin kapag nadi-divide yung isang angle using a given segment. Ayan, so that's one of the congruent angles. Angle FRI is congruent to angle FED. Ano pa? Angle FRI, ito pala muna. FRI is congruent to angle FDE. Yan. So there are three pairs of corresponding angles na congruent. Nakuha na yung dalawa. Ano pa yung isa? Angle DFE is congruent to angle IFR. Pwede yon. Or pwedeng angle F is congruent to angle F na din. Kasi single lang naman siya dyan sa part na yan. Okay, so how about the proportional sides? O, bigyan ko na kayo ng pattern. So, sundan ulit natin kung nasa taas ang ginamit ko is smaller triangle over bigger triangle. Dito ibahin natin. So, gawin naman nating ratio bigger triangle over smaller triangle. Yan, para pakita sa inyo na kahit anong ratio, pwede natin gamitin as long as you follow that on all the given sides. Yan, so example will be side FR over side FE. That's one possible pair of ratio of the sides. FR over FE. Ano pa yung pwede? Side FI over side FD. Yan. So, bigger triangle over smaller triangle ulit yung ratio niyan. Next. So, side RI over side ED. And so, that's how we identify the corresponding proportional sides and congruent angles on a given similar triangle. Ayan. So aside from that, we can also apply this following properties of similar triangles using this following example. So in this given, the triangle in each pair are similar or this given on these two numbers, those triangles are said to be similar. We are to identify the values of x and y. So lagi nyo tatandaan yung dalawang properties pagdating sa similar triangles. Una, proportional yung corresponding sides nila. Pangalawa, congruent yung corresponding angles nila. So, I think una natin gamitin dyan yung proportional yung corresponding sides because we can already identify the value of x using the measurements of the side. So, gamitin lang natin yung idea kanina. But this time, let's consider the ratio of, ito ata, bigger triangle over smaller kasi nasa unahan naman na yung bigger triangle eh. So we can have one side of the bigger triangle over the other side of the smaller triangle. So we have 10 over 8 as one of the possible ratio. And since the two triangles are similar, pwede mo sundan yung pattern na yon and kuha ka pa ng ibang ratio sa mga sides natin. So x over 12, nakita niyo yung pattern? Ganun lang siya sa lahat ng sides. 20 over 16. Ayan. So, that is all the possible ratios on this given two similar triangles. Now, how do we use this to solve for the value of x? Una, kung nalalakihan ka dun sa mga values na or sa mga ratio na binigay sa atin, kasi magko-cross multiply ka dyan eh. Pwede mong gawin, kuhain mo yung lowest term nila. So, lowest term ng 10 over 8 is 5 over 4. At yung lowest term ng 20 over 16 is also 5 over 4. Ayan nga yung tinatawag natin kaninang similarity ratio. Pero pwede rin naman pumili ka na lang basta ng dalawa dyan. Ang goal lang naman natin dyan is to pick one ratio that has both the numerator and denominator has values, unlike this one. Yan. Pero syempre, kukuhain mo rin yan. Dalawang pair naman yung kailangan mo kuhain dyan. So, kuhain na natin itong nasa unahan. Yan. Pwede yan or pwede rin to yung naka-lowest term. Walang problema. Ang ginamit ko ata dyan, syempre, yung mas mababa. 5 over 4 is equal to x over 12. So if we use that one, we get the cross product. 12 times 5 is 60, and then 4 times x is 4x. So we'll be having 60 is equal to 4x. If we divide both sides by 4, we get 15 is equal to x, or x is equal to 15. And aside from that, dito sa number 1, maganda example to kasi pwede rin natin magamit dito yung angles na congruent pagdating sa similar triangles. Yan. So, ano-ano yung mga pwede natin gawing clue dyan? Yan. So, kung ito 75 degrees, pwede na natin sabihin na ito 75 degrees din. Kasi similar triangles to eh. Congruent lahat ng angles nila. If this one is 65 degrees, this can also be equal to 65 degrees. So, kung ito y, o di y din to. But the problem here is that hindi naman natin hinahanap yung values nung bawat angles. Ang gusto lang natin makuha dyan, ano yung sukat ni y. So to identify that, we can use the idea of triangle sum theorem, wherein if we add all the measurements of the angles inside a triangle, it should sum up equal to 180 degrees. So ibig sabihin, if we add 65 degrees plus 65 degrees plus that angle y, it should be equal to 180. Ano sa tingin yung value ng y? Clue, add natin. 65 plus 75 degrees is 140. Yan. And then subtract natin yung 140 from 180, we get y is equal to 40 degrees. Yan. Yan. So, dyan naman natin may naia-apply yung uh, angles of similar triangles or corresponding angles of similar triangles are congruent. So, this one is also 40 degrees. Yan. Si angle y, 40 degrees din. Ayan. So, let's proceed to number 2. In this given, yan, medyo nakakalito na kasi kapag nasa loob na nung isang triangle yung isa pa na similar sa kanya. So, ang pwede nyong gawin sa mga ganyang example is, you can draw the smaller triangle na nakahiwalay. So, pwede mong i-drawing ulit yan in such a way that it has the same measurements. Yan. So, we have x, 5, and then 7 on this one. So, from there, we can easily identify the corresponding proportional sides. So, for example, we can get the ratio of, since andito na siya sa kaliwa, gawin natin smaller triangle over bigger triangle yung ratio natin. So, paano natin kukuhain yan? Umpisa na natin dito kay x. So, x over 18. That's one possible ratio. Next, 5 over 15. Proportional siya dyan. And lastly, we'll be having 7 over y. And then after that, we are to solve for the values of x and y. Pero hindi natin sabay masosolve yan. Kasi ang kailangan lang natin dito is dalawang pair ng ratio para masolve natin yung bawat isa. So, kuha ka lang yung isa, yung hinahanap mo, yung may variable x. Yan, x muna i-solve natin. And then dito, kuhain natin yung both the numerator and denominator has value. So we have here 5 over 15. Magiging useful yan. So kuhain natin yan. And we use that to solve for the value of x. Now if we cross multiply, 15 times x is 15x. 18 times 5 is equal to 90. Therefore, we have 15x is equal to 90. If we divide both sides by 15, we get x is equal to 6. Ayan. So on the other hand, if you want to solve for the value of y, gamitin ulit natin si 5 over 15. But this time, equate na natin siya kay 7 over y. And then, cross-multiply lang ulit natin. 5 times y is 5y. And then, 15 times 7 is 105. So, we have 5y is equal to 105. If we divide both sides by 5, we get y is equal to 21. That is how we apply those two properties of similar triangles in identifying the values of the unknown sides and angles of given similar triangles. Yan. Sagutan muna natin yung 1 and 2 bago nyo sagutan yung 3 and 4. So, sa number 1, bibigyan ko kayo ng clue para hindi kayo mahirapan. So, same lang to na example natin kanina. Yan, these two triangles are similar once again, and we have to use the different properties of similar triangles to identify the value of x and y. So, ang technique natin dyan, i-drawing nyo siya ulit kapag ka magkadikit sila or pagka nalilito kayo. Pero dapat pag drawing nyo, same orientation. Katulad nito, sa number 1, yan, inikot ko lang siya. So, yung values, syempre, mamumove din. So, ayan na siya. Yung 12, since ni-rotate ko siya, napunta siya dito sa taas. And then, ganun din yung nangyari for y and 9. Dito naman sa isang triangle, syempre, gagayahin ko na kung paano yung pwesto ng unang triangle mo. So, andito yung x sa taas. So, ayan yung mga values niyan. And then, you can get the following ratios or proportional sides already. So, let's start with this one. Ayan, since nakaayos na siya at na-drawing na siya ulit, ayan, you can already get the ratios of the following. Since uh, isa sa mga pairs ng corresponding sides natin dyan, or pwede natin kuhain na ratio is 12 over x para masolve agad natin yung variable x. And then we can also get the ratio of 9 over 3. Ayan. So, stop na ako dyan. Mamaya na yung y over 6 kasi dalawa lang naman yung pair ng ratio yung kailangan mo to solve for the given unknown variable. So, we can get the cross product. 3 times 12 is 36. X times 9 is 9x. And if we divide both sides by 9, we get x is equal to 4. For the value of y naman, gamitin na natin yung ratio na y over 6. And once again, magagamit ulit natin dyan si 9 over 3. So in this case, we have y over 6 is equal to 9 over 3. If we get the cross product, 3 times y is 3y. 9 times 6 is equal to 54. So we got 3y is equal to 54. If we divide both sides by 3, we get y is equal to 18. Ayan. So, maganda talaga kapag dinodrawing nyo siya ulit, nagkakaroon kayo ng idea kung ano yung mga sides na pwede natin gawing proportional. Ayan. So, if we may proceed to number 2, ayan, drawing natin, lalo na to sa number 2, nakakalito to pag hindi mo siya i-drawing ulit. So, meron tayong triangle that has the values x, 12, and 6. Ito yan, yung kulay purple. And then, ito, i-drawing natin siya ulit. Mas malaki yan. Hindi nyo lang napansin kasi magkadikit sila. But this side is gonna be 12 and the hypotenuse is 16 and y yung isang leg. Yan. By the way, these two triangles are right triangles as well. Yan. So, from there, we can identify the values of x and y. So, kuhain muna natin yung ratio wherein x is belonged. So, we have x over 12. And then, kuha tayo ng isa pang ratio between the sides, pero dapat yung ratio na yun parehas may value yung numerator at denominator. So, pwedeng gamitin si 12 over 16. So, x over 12 is equal to 12 over 16. We can get the cross product of x and 12. We have 16x. And 12 times 12 is 144. If we divide both sides by 16, we get x is equal to 9. On the other hand, kung gusto mo naman isolve yung value ng y, we can get the ratio 6 over y is equal to 12 over 16. So, magagamit ulit natin si 12 over 16. Get the cross product of 16 and 6, we get 96. And the cross product of 12 and y, which is 12y. If we divide both sides by 12, we get 8 is equal to y or y is equal to 8. But aside from that, yan, ito diretso na natin ha. Sabayan nyo na lang ako sa pagsagot. So for number 3, if you want to answer this one, since angle ang given natin, magagamit natin dito yung similar triangles. I mean the property of the similar triangles with angles or corresponding angles being congruent. So para di malito, i-drawing mo muna yung malaking triangle and lagay mo yung measurements niya. So we have 40 degrees, x degrees, and 35 degrees. And ito naman yung maliit na triangle. I think may y doon sa unang example natin. So 40 daw to and ito y. So how do we identify the following measurement? So si x, pwede kang gumamit ng triangle sum theorem to solve for that value. Because the sum of that 40 degrees plus 35 degrees plus x degrees will be equal to 180 degrees. So ano dapat yung value ng variable x na yan? So we can add 40 and 35. That's gonna be equal to 75. Subtract natin yung 75 from 180. You'll get x is equal to 105 degrees. So that means this is equal to 105 degrees. And dahil similar siya dun sa isa pang triangle, 105 degrees din yung corresponding angle sa kanya. And ito yung pinakamahirap dyan, yung y. Ano bang value ng variable y natin? So that's gonna be equal to, yes, corresponding angles of similar triangles are congruent. That's gonna be 35 degrees or 35. Kasi nga, di ba, congruent lahat ng angles natin. Yan. So, ito, sa example na yan, in-apply yung congruent, yung corresponding angles. Okay, so as we may proceed, let's have number 4. Yan. Ito, medyo komplikado lang siya kasi nga maraming sides na merong variables. Pero if we may consider drawing them once again and identifying the new sides, kasi nga, di ba? Yes, the bigger triangle contains 2y plus 6 on the bottom part, but on this side, hindi mo pwedeng ilagay ulit x to, tas ito 2x minus 5. Kailangan kuhain mo na yung buong sukat niya. At pag pinagdugtong mo yan, x plus 2x minus 5 will just be equal to 3x minus 5. Inad lang tong x dito sa 2x. And then for the other side, we can add 8 and 12. The sum is equal to 20. And if we consider the other smaller triangle, the measurements will be x, y, and 8. So since nakahiwalay na siya, mas madaling identify yung mga ratio. So we can get the ratio of this side, 3x minus 5, and this side over x. And then kuha tayo ng isang ratio na may pares values. So 20 tsaka 8. So we equate it to 20 over 8. And we get the cross product. 8 times quantity 3x minus 5 is equal to x times 20, which is equal to 20x. Distribute natin sa 8. 8 times 3 magiging 24x. So 8 times negative 5 is going to be negative 40. So we have 24x minus 40 is equal to 20x. Ngayon, if you want to solve for the value of x, yan, ang pwede natin gawin is pagpalitin yung pwesto. Gusto ko lagay dito sa 20x para pares sila may variable x. Tapos yung negative 40 lagay natin sa kabila. So pag ginawa natin yan, yung negative 40 magiging positive. Yan. So yung positive 20x magiging negative kasi nilipat natin ng pwesto. So we'll be having 24x minus 20x. That's gonna be equal to 4x is equal to 40. If we divide both sides by 4, we get x is equal to 10. So, ito naman yung side na kukuhain natin. Siyempre, meron diyang y. And then, yung corresponding side niya is y also. So, we have 2y plus 6 all over y. Equate mo ulit siya kay 20 over 8. Ayan. So, cross multiply lang ulit natin. 8 times the quantity 2y plus 8. And here, we have y times 20, which is equal to 20y. Distribute lang ulit natin to. 8 times 2y is 16y. And then 8 times 6 is gonna be equal to 48. So we have 16y plus 48 is equal to 20y. Katulad nung ginawa natin sa kabila, pagpalitin natin yung pwesto nito. Ayan, so magiging negative 20 yon, negative 20y. And this one, positive 48, pag nilipat mo siya sa kabila, magiging negative 48. So in this case, we can just have 16y minus 20y, which is equal to negative 4y, equal to negative 48. So we can divide both sides by negative 4 and we'll get y is equal to 48 divided by negative 4, which is positive 12. That's how we apply the following properties of similar triangles to identify the measurements of the angles and the sides.
I hope you understand the lesson for today. Until next time, bye!